Oh, we are the greatest sports has to offer. Michael Jordan ain't my GOAT. Oh, that's LeBron James. Snap his fingers and all of a sudden we have balance in the league now.
Oh my goodness!
Come on, man. Knock it off. Knock it off. Of course, I need to see my Kings come out on top.
You can't be serious.
It's too strong. Oh, that man hungry. Oh, he is hungry, man.
Kiss the baby. Welcome back to the NBA cast. Today we'll be talking about, of course, the one and only, the biggest football game of the year, the Super Bowl. I got my homeboy with me, CG3 as always. Thanks for being part of the show today.
Thanks for bringing me on.
I mean, it only makes sense to bring the biggest Chiefs fan I know, so he's definitely gonna be the one to give us the insight on what we need to know about today, about the matchup in 2 weeks. So, with that being said, let's hop right on into it. How you feeling about the game?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, back to back. Here we go again. Last time it almost gave me a heart attack. You know, being down 2 scores with 6 minutes left, but got it done. So I mean, it proved time and time again that it don't matter the score. Patrick Mahomes at the helm, he can get it done.
Okay, so it don't matter the score, but doesn't matter the player on the other side, because that man Tom Brady has been here before. As a matter of fact, this is his 10th time on this stage. Are you afraid of that, man?
I mean, that definitely makes a difference. It reminds me much of, you know, three years ago when we were in the AFC Championship game. Of course, different team, New England Patriots, but that game was all about who had the ball last. That's what it came down to. And Brady and the Patriots had the ball last. They got it done. I feel like if Mahomes had the ball last, I mean, we could be looking at Chiefs 3 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the way Patrick Mahomes has come into the league and took the league by the horns has been absolutely insane. With Tom Brady being this is his 10th time here in the Super Bowl, it's also one of those records that I just don't see is ever going to be broken. But if it does get broken, this is right now the only player I can see to do it. I mean, he's in perfect matrimony with Andy Reid and the talent of himself, and I feel like Kelsey, Hill, and Mahomes are gonna retire in Kansas City. I think they're gonna do their whole career there. So when you have those 4 together, like I said, if anybody's gonna break that Tom Brady record, I feel like it'll be those guys. There's some big headlines, though, besides that this game is just the Super Bowl. You know, we have the GOAT himself versus the prodigy child. So a lot of people can look at this game and say, you know, is this the passing of the torch? You know, now that Tom Brady is starting to go downhill a little bit, is this the game that's going to say, all right, young man, I'm leaving this league to you? Or is the biggest storyline the fact that this is the first time in NFL history that a team that's hosting the Super Bowl is in the Super Bowl? With that being said, what's the biggest storyline for you?
The biggest storyline for me is, you know, the passing of the torch, like you were talking about. To me, I don't even know if it is the passing of the torch. I mean, this man Tom Brady could go on to play another 4 years. Like, it's just ridiculous. This man he does not age. He does not age at all. So I honestly see him playing at least another season with Tampa Bay, maybe even 2. So I don't even know if it's the passing of the torch. You know, 3 years ago when we lost to the Patriots, Tom Brady went out of his way to go talk to Mahomes one-on-one in the locker room. And that's where I was like, oh, this is the passing of the torch. Brady's going to retire, you know, he's going to go on with the Super Bowl, retire, whatever. That didn't happen. So, I mean, they could call it the passing of the torch, but at the end of the day, we might have a Bucs-Chiefs matchup next year's Super Bowl. Who knows?
Which would be insane to see 2 years in a row. For me personally, I think the biggest storyline is the fact that the Bucs are hosting the Super Bowl for themselves. I think that's the coolest story ever. It's never happened. And I mean, let's be honest. There's not one other player in the history of NFL that anyone would think this would happen to besides Tom Brady. Like, only Tom Brady will pull off this milestone, you know? And you know what's even cooler about this whole story is they had to win every game this playoffs on the road to finally host a home game as a Super Bowl. Like, that's insane. They went on the road for 2-3 games straight, then they come back to play the big one at home. crazy storyline. Like I said, I don't see this ever happening again. But who knows? Who knows? Mahomes is a different monster, and with the offensive weapons he has, even the defense isn't too shabby, and that's a lot of people overlook. You know.
Yeah, we definitely stepped it up in the playoffs. Just like last year, our defense through the regular season gave up a lot of yards, a lot of points, but we made the playoffs because obviously our offense put up a lot of yards and a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came down to playoff time, Tyrann Mathieu and the rest of that defense, Chris Jones, they all stepped it up to a whole nother level. And Spagnuolo does a great job of looking at the other team's offense and trying to decide, what is the best way to shut down this offense, this offense. And when it comes to playoffs, are a whole different animal.
Yep.
Even you can go any sport, it's going to be different. So it'll be fun to watch.
Anyone who's ever listened to this show, at least while this playoffs has been going on, there's one thing I've always said about both teams in the Super Bowl. In order to beat Patrick Mahomes, you have to be able to score at least 30 points. Same thing with Tom Brady and the Bucs. If you're going to beat Tom Brady and the Bucs, you have to score 30 points. With that being said, no team has scored 30 against them in the playoffs this year. Best believe they've scored 30 on everyone else. So that's what I'm saying. You have to be able to score 30 just to put yourself in that category. Because if you can't, they are.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not ultimately you're not going to beat them. So that's where it's going to be who's going to outscore the other, or which defense is going to make the most stops.
Yeah, I definitely think it comes down to big plays on defense. Mahomes and the Chiefs offense do a great job of not turning the ball over often. Brady struggled against Green Bay a little bit. He threw 3 interceptions. He can't do that against the Chiefs.
No.
If he throws 2 or more interceptions, we win the game. That you cannot beat the Chiefs by turning the ball over more than 2 times. I can't think of a time when it happened.
Now you guys are going to be in a little predicament anyways with Eric Fisher being out.
That is huge. That is absolutely huge, especially with that Bucs D-line is ferocious.
Yes,
it
is.
And losing our best guy on the line, prayers out to him. A torn Achilles is, nothing to play around with. I hope he heals up well for sure and comes back next season. But yeah, that is a huge blow. We have a lot of guys though on the bench that step up in the offensive line. So hopefully that someone can step up in his plays. Obviously, in the biggest light in football in the Super Bowl. Now's your chance, buddy. Now make a name for yourself.
Right, and that just. With that being said, that pushes me right onto our next topic of conversation, coaching. This game is going to be big for both sides when it comes to coaching. Obviously, for Tampa, I think their X factor when it comes to coaching has to be Todd Bowles, because he's got to find a way to get pressure to Patrick Mahomes without sending the house, because if he sends the house, that leaves one-on-one situations for Travis Kelce, McCole Hardman, or that fool Tyreek Hill. And, once that happens, any player is liable to go 70 yards after that.
Yeah, and if you look at our previous matchup, it looked like Todd Bowles was trying to do that in the first quarter, and you saw what happened. Tyreek Hill 256 yards in the first quarter. He tried to bring the house over and over again, and his corners were just getting burnt with no safety help.
You can't leave those guys on the island with Tyreek Hill, and I'm sorry that even let's take the best corners in the league. Let's take your Jalen Ramseys. Let's take your Stephon Gilmores. You can't put those guys on the island, because at the end of the day, you can't teach speed.
Yep.
And Tyreek Hill has a lot of it. If we're going to be generous about it, he has a lot of it.
Yeah.
And once you put someone on the island, it doesn't matter how good they are coverage when you have a quarterback that can literally launch it 70 yards down the field.
Yeah.
So that's what makes this perfect matrimony in Kansas City right now with that offense. Which brings me to this question. Taking both teams, coaching staff, who do you prefer going into this Super Bowl matchup?
Of course I'm going to go with my Chiefs. Besides maybe defense, which Tampa does have, I give them a slight upper hand, because the Chiefs do give up a lot of yards. But again, we step it up in the playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, it goes to Kansas City. Can you think of an offense? And I know people are going to say I'm being biased, But can you honestly think of an offense that has been more dynamic than this Chiefs offense the last 2 years?
No, and I've actually asked that question. I think I asked that question on Sunday. It's like, is this the best offense we've ever seen?
It's definitely up there. I mean, I believe. Of course, I'm going to be biased, so like I feel like I don't. Whenever I go into arguments like that, people are like, "Oh, well, you're a Chiefs fan. Of course, you're going to say that." But it's like I'm not even trying to be biased. It's being dead serious. Like I can't, being brutally honest to myself, I can't think of an offense that has been better ever.
Yeah, when it comes to the coaching staff, for me, I think honestly we can split it right down the middle at 50-50. Because Spagnuolo as a defensive mind, great.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Reid as a head coach he's now got over the hump from last year, and we already know what he is offensively. So those are two huge pluses. Now we're still trying to figure out what Eric is and who he's going to be because he's not always the offensive play caller either.
Yeah.
On the Bucs side, you have Todd Bowles, who we all know is an established defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. They also have Bruce Arians, who's a fantastic offensive mind quarterback guy. But again, their question comes down to their offensive coordinator. Byron Leftwich, who was a quarterback at Jacksonville, we don't know how much of the play calling he does.
Right.
You don't know what he is outside of Bruce Arians. So I think it's fair to split it smack down the middle at 50-50 split.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to say that when you got Andy Reid on one side of the coaching staff. Like,
right.
People are like, "Oh, Andy Reid finally got his ring," but people forget like this man got stumped by Belichick and the Patriots, who was the greatest dynasty we've ever seen in football. But before that, this man still made 3 straight NFC title games hosting it. Never been done before, and now he's made 3 straight AFC title games and hosted all of them. Never been done before on the AFC side.
Yeah, and that's an amazing stat and all, but you gotta get over the hump, which you finally had. So that's what I'm saying. Whereas Bruce Arians has already gotten over that hump before too. He's already gotten a championship. Yeah. He's been there and done that too, which is why I say I think it's pretty fair to split it down the middle. But then we have to transfer over to the strengths of their offensive sides, and I think it's safe to say the Chiefs' offense is better than Tom Brady and the Buccaneers' offense. I think it's pretty safe to say that.
Yeah.
Like I said, we briefly touched on it a few minutes ago, but this offense has to legit be one of the greatest offenses we've ever seen, if not the best, because like you said, they don't turn the ball over. So that makes them very efficient. Patrick Mahomes does not get sacked. They do not take many negative yards. So it makes it very, very tough to stop and beat the Chiefs because of that sole reason. Mm-hmm. This game, it cannot come down to kicking field goals if you're Tampa.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw that with the Buffalo Bills. 4th and 2, like you're in the red zone. Why are you kicking the ball?
Yeah,
you're gonna lose the game, and it did. Ultimately, you have to be willing to take those chances because you have to look at the other side and be like, there's probably an 80% chance that the Chiefs are going to score a touchdown.
Which is incredible. It's incredible to think that every time they have the ball, they're probably going to score. And I compared this, the way the Chiefs play in their offense, it's as exciting as when Golden State had Steph, Clay, and KD. At any moment, they could torch somebody for 30. Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, the other team's up by 12. It's like, okay, does it matter? Like, is that lead safe? No, it's not.
And that's the thing. The Chiefs actually even start off slow. That is the craziest thing. They start off troubled. And then I don't know what happens. It doesn't matter what time. It can be the second quarter they turn that switch on. It can be the third quarter they turn that switch on. Or like you said, it can be 6 minutes in the fourth quarter. That they just turned it on and said, we're not going to lose this game. And at that point, it's nothing you can do. Once that offense gets going, unstoppable.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. It proves, like, even with how young he is, like, how great of a leader Mahomes has grown to be. I mean, obviously, he has great talent around him. He has great coaching. So he was drafted into the best scenario any quarterback could have been drafted into. But his leadership ability, which is not something that's easily coached.
Right.
Is remarkable. I mean, look at last year. We're down 24 points to the Houston Texans. How do you not just get in that mindset of like, oh man, like it's already over.
Yep.
But this dude is on the sidelines like, no, we got this. Like it's nothing. We've been in this situation before. It's nothing. Or like 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. You're down 2 scores. You gotta look at yourself and be like, oh man, like this isn't good. And I watched him in an interview talking about that moment, and he's like, yeah, you know, time's not really on our side, but whatever, we can get it done. It's like it's remarkable the mindset you got to put yourself in to go out there and be like, yeah, it doesn't matter how much time is left, we'll win this game.
We got a chance.
Yeah,
we have a chance, and that's what makes it crazy. And while we're on the offensive side of the ball, have you looked at the Buccaneers' offensive roster from top to bottom? It's like an all Madden team.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty ridiculous. Like the Chiefs' defense is definitely gonna have their hands full. Like Mike Evans is a very underrated player. What was it 7 straight seasons of over 1,000 yards? That's insane. And then you still got Gronk, Tom Brady's best friend.
Yeah.
You got
Chris
Antonio
Godwin,
Brown,
who's coming back.
Yeah.
Availability.
Yeah, like
He loves Tom. Him and Tom have always loved each other. It's hilarious. I love their relationship.
yeah. I mean, that man. I mean, it seems like he's found a home where he can stay out of trouble for at least just stay out of trouble at least another week and a half.
I'm sure Tom said this is the
Yeah.
second time I've stuck
Yeah.
my back out for you.
Yeah, and
You
then
ain't ruining this one.
And then you got in the slot Scotty Miller, who I got some beef with you, Scotty, if you want to talk. Because a great player, very fast. This man said he would dust Tyreek Hill in a race, and I'm like, okay, Scotty, take a step back now. like, don't get it twisted. Like, you are fast. You ran, a 4.2, 4.3 combine. But Tyreek Hill didn't even get to go to the combine because he wasn't projected high enough. I mean, he was drafted in the 5th round. But supposedly he ran an unofficial 4.1 at his pro day.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, Scotty. Like Tyreek Hill might be the fastest player we've ever seen touch a football.
I mean, when you first hear that comment, of course you want to be like, bro.
Yeah.
But Scotty Miller was a track guy too.
Yeah.
So his form is probably on point as well. If we're going to a straight line, but no. Wow, with all that being said, with all that being said, he ain't faster than Cheetah, man. Yeah, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, but Scotty Miller is a great player, and he's definitely a player you have to watch out for because that's one thing that the Chiefs defense lets up is, I mean, we send five or more players against the Bills. We sent 5 or more players after the quarterback 50% of the game. 50% of the game while we press their wide receivers. Now, the Bills' wide receivers were a little bit smaller than the Bucs have, like a Mike Evans who can break the press pretty easily. But also they have that Scotty Miller and Antonio Brown who are a little bit smaller. So it'll be interesting to see if we can still bring that pressure, blitzing the safeties like Daniel Sorensen, Tyrann Mathieu, and we can hold that press and they're not going to get burned. Because I've seen it time and time again that our corners are just getting burned downfield, and it's like...
Yeah, and since you want to bring that up, that'll just go ahead and lead us right over to the defensive side of the ball. And this is where I say you guys, this is probably your most underrated trait of the team. We all know you guys are super strong in special teams. You guys have the best offense, but your defense does not get enough credit. You have superstars on all 3 levels of the defense. You have Chris Jones holding down the defensive line. We have Frank Clark at the linebacker. And then you have Tyrann Mathieu as the head guy leading over the whole defense. That is so huge and crucial when it comes to playoffs and Super Bowl situations, big games, because all 3 of those guys have been there. All 3 of those guys have been in huge games, and they know what it takes to make the biggest plays at the right time.
Yep.
So the Chiefs' defense is very underrated when it comes to big games and big moments. But that damn Tampa defense, man.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I think on both sides of the defense, the weakness is going to be the cornerback position on both sides. Obviously, we saw that 6 weeks ago when Tyreek Hill was just, I don't know who the corner was, but that poor man was getting just torched the whole first quarter. That poor man, he needed help. Even Tyreek Hill went over to the sideline. Don't worry, help is on the way. But help did seem to come on the way because he didn't do much after that first quarter.
Right.
But by then, I mean, 256 yards in the first quarter. And then you look at the Chiefs side. We got our second-year player, Charvarius Ward, who has definitely taken a step down this season. He was not the playmaker that he was in his first season. He's taking a step down. But then we got our 4th-round pick, L'Jarius Sneed, who has absolutely stepped up in big situations, and we used him on blitzing, we used him on pressing, and he's been arguably the best corner we have, and he runs in the slot.
Now, a few minutes ago, you told me you guys, blitz Josh Allen 55% of the time. You doing that against Tom Brady puts you in the same predicament it would if they blitz you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because now you got Mike Evans in a one-on-one situation. You have Chris Godwin in a one-on-one situation. You got AB in a one-on-one situation. And that's where things can get brutal. And Tom Brady, obviously being Tom Brady, has seen every defense you can throw at him.
Yep.
Do you still think you guys are going to bring that much pressure?
I don't think so. I think Spagnuolo took a step back and was like, Josh Allen, this is his first time in the AFC Championship. He's a young player. The pressure is going to get to him. You got to get to him early. But the other side, even though Tom Brady has one of the quickest releases, it's 1-2 drop pass.
Right.
But teams this year have been more successful against Tampa when you do pressure Brady. So it's one of those things you got to sit back and it's like, do we take a chance on him giving up a big play, or do we get pressure on him early and just keep that pressure up all game? I think if I was Spagnuolo, I'm keeping the pressure on Brady, because at the end of the day, if they're throwing on us and they're scoring, I'm looking at our offense like, okay, we'll just do the same thing. So I don't know what we're going to do. It'll be interesting to see. Based on the year, we always seem to bring the pressure.
Right.
So I don't see us going away from that just because it's the Super Bowl.
And on the flip side, I don't see them bringing extra men. Not this time. And with your old lineman, with Eric Fisher being gone, that is just going to open the floodgates for the front four. JPP and Shaq Barrett, I have a strong feeling they're going to have a great game, which could ultimately, break the Chiefs. That would be the only way. That's the only way. If your front four can get the Mahomes without blitzing, you may have a chance. Once you start blitzing again, putting those guys in a one-on-one situation, it's just no way.
Yep.
So, for me, like I said, I'm going back and I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all the Bucs defense is something fierce. This Bucs defense is something fierce. Granted, now we have to get to the nitty-gritty. Who's winning the Super Bowl?
I'm going with my Kansas City Chiefs, of course.
You have a score prediction?
I think it's going to be high scoring. I think, like you said, I think both teams know that unless you score 30, you're not winning the game. So I got Chiefs 36, Bucs 32.
Oh, that's big time. That actually would be a very fun game to watch, because now you got explosive plays, big plays coming from the offensive scoring. I don't see how that's a disappointing game in any ways. For me, I have 2 weeks to decide on who I have winning the Super Bowl. So y'all got to stay off my back, because I haven't decided, and I'm not going on air and giving y'all my wrong opinion, because this playoffs I've been hot. So y'all got to give me some time. I ain't decided yet. But I definitely can see both teams pulling this game off. It will not surprise me either way it go. I think the only way this game could surprise me is if it's not, the game doesn't end in the upper 20s, lower 30s, and such like that. That's the only way. If this becomes a defensive game, that'll be the only way it surprises me. But yeah, I'm not sure who I have yet. I'll probably wait till the last second before I go ahead and give out my hot take on who I have. But
yeah, I don't see it being a blowout in either side. So I think it's gonna be a great game. It's gonna be very close. I think it's gonna come down to who has the ball last. Honestly, I think it really will.
And as long as you don't have money on it, and as long as you're not a fan of either team, if it comes down to the last possession, what more can we ask for in the Super Bowl?
Exactly.
What more can we ask for? With that being said, that basically wraps up today's show. CG, so good to have you on as always.
Thank you for having me.
We're definitely going to do this again. Guys, don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. We are under NBA on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, even YouTube. We're also under your favorite podcasting platforms as well. So you guys tune in, and we'll see you next time.